What's going on, everybody? My name is Perfumes, and welcome to How to Make Perfumes, Volume 1.3. Why the note pyramid is a bunch of nonsense, what are top, middle, and bass notes, what are chords versus basses, and at the end, I'm going to give you a little smelling exercise to help you memorize what you got. Let's dive deep. How you doing? Are you doing good? I'm doing phenomenal. So, the reason why I wanted to bring up why note pyramids are a bunch of BS is because I notice a lot of times that beginner perfumers or soon-to-be perfumers would look at note pyramids as if they have any type of validity, which they do not. And I'll tell you why. So, over the course of my fragrance journey, I've looked across a vast amount of GCMS analyses, which stands for gas chromatography, mass spectrometry. And what that does is it takes an oil, turns it into a gas, and then it fairly accurately determines which volatiles are occurring in said oil. So a lot of times you look at note pyramids and they'll give you a bunch of bullshit. And then when you look at the actual formula or what's in the analysis, you'll be like, so you lied. They lie a lot. Now, if you've watched any of my fragrance reviews, you would know that I have a large gripe with a thing called tonka bean. Nobody uses fucking tonka bean. They just use coumarin, which is a powder. So they'll have coumarin in the formula, and then they'll tell you that they have tonka bean. Or another one, if they use vanillin, which is the main odorant of vanilla, they'll tell you that they have vanilla bean Madagascar. No, you don't. You're a full of shit, some of 'em a bitch. So when you go to make perfumes, you might look at these note pyramids. They're all marketing and they really don't have any correlation. And I don't think you should go about, when you go to make perfumes and things like that, just kind of keep a note pyramid out of your head. It's its own thing. It's on its own plane. It has nothing. What the fuck is in my eye? Oh my God. It has absolutely nothing to do. What the hell is that? It has absolutely nothing to do with formulas or how a perfumer goes about formulating. They might say, like one of the perfumes I reviewed said big strawberry. Bruh. We know you're full of shit. And another thing, I think that note pyramids can lead to a lot of confusion when it comes to making perfumes, because sometimes you'll see things like oak moss as a top note, cedar as a base note. Unless you're using cedar absolute, which I highly doubt, cedar oils, you're lucky to get them into the heart of a perfume. They really don't last a long time. And when we get into the cedars, whatever part that may be, who knows, I'll probably be like part 6 or 7 or some shit way down the line. It doesn't last that long. It's not going to go into the base. I promise you that. Oak moss, the main thing that people use to convey an oak moss note is something called veromoss, and it lasts a super long time and is heavily diffusive. So they'll list it as a top note because it's diffusive and you can smell it on the top of a perfume, but it doesn't make it a top note because it lasts a long time. That, my friends, is the perfect segue into what are top, middle, and base notes. So all these do is they, categorize. It's literally just like a molecule's tenacity, right? So something like lemon oil is a top note. It'll always be a top note. That's that. It's just not gonna, that's it. It's a top note. Unless you have like a lemon base or something like that, that's gonna help you carry it into the dry down. For the most part, it's just gonna be a top note. That's all it is. That's all it'll ever be. Unless you make something to help you carry a lemon odor into the dry down. But like typical lemon essential oil is not a base note. It'll never be a base note. It is what it is. It's a top note. There are certain musts that last a really long time. Those are base notes. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't smell it on the top. Something we all know, ambroxan. Ifro kind of wants to ban Cetilox. Cetilox is a version of ambroxan. It's my favorite version of ambroxan, and they're trying to ban it due to reproductive toxicity. Worldwide birth rates are on the fucking decline. Banning Cetilox is not going to save your population. Sorry to tell you, going left field right now. But ambroxan is very diffusive, and you can smell it on the top of a perfume. But it's not a top note. It's a base note. It's going to last at a base. So just because you smell it on the top doesn't mean it's a top note. So this kind of goes into the whole confusion of fragrance marketing. You just want to make sure that when you're going about things, you understand each and every molecule's tenacity and how they perform on their own, because this will help you categorize and understand when you're looking at your formula in full how much of kind of what you have. Because if you notice, you might see a formula where like the top portion of the fragrance isn't all that good, and then you might realize like, oh shit, I don't really have anything to help the top note or anything to carry the scent character from the top to the base. So just keep that in mind. Accords versus bases, you've probably heard these terms before. So accords are literally just, could be either a basic or a complex mixture of things to create a novel odor, something new, something you haven't smelled before. So by example, if you look at like the entirety of the fougere family, right, created an entire genre of perfumes, started from a small accord of just bergamot, lavender, and geranium. So that little thing created a whole new odor. And then over time, they began to add in things to give much more of that barbershop fougere type feel. So they added things like cumarin, amyl salicylate, some oak moss, some vetiver, some rose and jasmine, things like that. And then you can also have small accords, like a small rose accord or a small jasmine accord, something to just convey the idea. So it's kind of like making something that is better than the sum of its parts. That's kind of all it is. Now, a base, do not get this confused with base notes. So there are tons of bases that are available for purchase, or you can end up making your own. So typically it'd be something that doesn't occur in nature, right? So you can make something like a jammy jasmine, right? So you can make a jasmine accord and add in things to give it like a jammy type vibe to it. So you could add fruit molecules, maybe some ketones, maybe some ionos, whatever the fuck it is, whatever you want to do. So it's kind of something like it doesn't exist in nature, like a big strawberry. I don't know how you convey the odor of big, but whatever. That's kind of like they could have made a base, like a strawberry base, and been like, oh, let me throw that in the perfume. Or like if you might have seen before, I don't know. I don't have any examples. But fragrances of yesteryear, they definitely went hard on like making these huge bases, like these very complex bases. And then there would be a small portion, or maybe even a large portion of a fragrance formula. So like they would add these bases. So it might have 15, 20, 30 items in it, and then they'll put that in a perfume. And they would use multiple bases in perfume. So like a very classic base would be from a company called Delaire. They don't longer exist. I think there was Simrise. I want to say Simrise. They made a very famous base called Mousse de Saxe because they tried to sell a molecule called isobutyquinolene. So a lot of perfumers back then used to use this Mousse de Saxe base in a perfume. So pretty much you can make your own bases. You can do whatever the hell you want. Again, it's not trying to mirror nature. It's trying to just do something new. So you can have a rose accord, which might have like phenyl ethyl alcohol, citronellol, geraniol, and eugenol, and maybe nerol or something like that. And that'll be like a little rose accord. But then once you start adding in other things that don't really occur in nature, then it starts becoming like a base. So you can add things like benzoin, guaiac wood, fucking whatever the hell you want. And it just kind of adds levels of interest. And essentially the bases that you do make, you use them as an essential oil, even though they're not, but you kind of, I hope you kind of get what I'm saying. So there's that. And I just want to give you a quick smelling exercise. This is going to be a quick video. So why am I telling you now? We're a little late. Really quick, simple exercise you could do to help you better memorize and understand the things we'll be using. So you go back to the 5 oils we had. So that was bergamot, lemon, orange, lime, and petitgreen. You could write the names down on strips and put a little drop on each one, and then you'll fold them over onto the edge of a table. Make sure that the tips don't touch. Make sure that the odors don't touch, and you keep them out on the table, and you can shuffle them around a little bit and pick it up and smell each one and see if you get them right. Now, this is a good exercise because you know the 5 things that you have that you'd be smelling, but you don't know exactly which one you're smelling. And this is a good exercise because now you can start to see if what you're smelling compares to the notes you took. And if you get them all right, you know you're doing good. If not, just keep practicing and keep smelling. And over time, you'll absolutely memorize these smells and you'll know them like the back of your hand. And doing this time and time again, obviously, is just going to be super beneficial to you when it comes time to blending and mixing things together and seeing how things interact. Now, if you do get them all right and you do really well, because you're an expert and you're watching me, so you're going to do really good, obviously, wait an hour and then come back and smell them while they're on their dry down. So don't put new drops on. You just, as I said, just leave them out, shuffle them again, and then just check to see if you can smell what they are on their dry down. Because now this will also help you too, because it helps you kind of learn their the entirety of their evaporation curve. And remember that whatever you smell on a strip is heavily condensed when it comes onto skin. So that evaporation curve shrinks like a lot. So yeah, that's all I got for today. Make sure you have all your oils ready, because we're gonna get busy blending in the next video in part 1.4. We're gonna get into very basic blending, and so we can start seeing how things interact, because a lot of this smelling stuff is fucking boring as all get out. So we got to make sure we do fun things to keep you entertained. Flex for the camera. Adios amigos. I will see you in the next part.